everybody, and welcome to this week's teen hour program. So this week we are going to be watercoloring. So the format that we're using for watercoloring is just a simple watercoloring set. I have some watercoloring paper, and I have also included in your kit a fine point Sharpie. That way, if you feel so inclined, you can actually draw an illustration to watercolor. That's what I'm going to be doing in this demonstration video. If you want to just, freehand watercolor with no line work, that's totally fine, but that's just what the Sharpie is for in your kit. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so this is going to be my template. I just drew this picture. It's just on normal watercoloring paper, which is what's in your kit. I would definitely recommend using watercoloring paper for this rather than normal paper because watercoloring paper is really thick, and so it will absorb the Sharpie, and that way when you're actually watercoloring on the illustration, it's not going to bleed at all. So definitely use the watercoloring paper that's in your kit. And then I just have like a normal, pretty easy, cheap paint set here of watercolors. You should have one in your kit as well. And then you'll just need to grab a cup of water, and in your kit you'll also have a watercoloring brush. So to get started, you might also want to grab like a napkin or something, that way you can kind of dry off your paintbrush as you're switching colors. So first thing you're going to want to do is just dip your paintbrush into the water, and then choose the color that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on my flower here. So I'm going to put some yellow in here, and then you just start to like brush that on to your illustration. And something that I like about watercolors is that when they bleed together, I think it actually looks really cool. So I kind of like when the pictures aren't, absolutely perfectly in the lines. And watercoloring is like a paint that is diluted when you put water on it. So the water makes it happen, but also the water can make it lighter or darker depending on the amount that you use. So I'm just doing some red right now. And I'm just starting with like a base coat, and I can always add some more later. And I am not like a genius artist, so I don't really know much about like shading or anything like that. I know that the less water you use, the darker your color is going to be, or the more layers of paint you put on there, the more dark the color will be. So other than that, I'm also just kind of winging this. So you guys are not alone if you are watercolor novices. That is me too. One thing that you guys can also do if you want the color to be a little bit darker is you can kind of just like set the paint on there. So like if I were to kind of like dab a bunch of paint like right there, and if I just left it, as it dries, it's going to be a little bit darker. As you can see, this petal's kind of dark because that's what ended up happening. Again, I think it's kind of cool when things kind of, blend together. They aren't perfect, because I think that's one of the beauties of watercoloring. And of course, you guys don't have to do flowers. Like, I like flowers, so that's why I drew one. I think that florals look really pretty with watercolors. However, if you are not a flower person, that is totally fine. You guys don't have to do flowers. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, just, have fun with it. So now I have a paint base for my flower. It's kind of pinkish, and maybe I want to add some different colors. So you guys can totally paint different colors over it. So I'm going to try experimenting with a little bit of orange, and I'm just going to kind of put it down at the bottom of the petals. I'm just going to see what that does. it'll change the color ever so slightly. And I can do the same right here. And if you want more orange, just add a little bit more. There we go. If you like the way that looks, cool. I might add a little bit of yellow just to the tops of the leaves here, or petals, these are petals. And if you want the colors to bleed together a little bit more, just add a little bit of water, just like plain water to it, and kind of spread the water around, and that'll help bleed the colors together. Okay, I think I'm gonna call that good for my flower. The nice thing about watercolors is that like it doesn't really matter what you do. I think it always kind of looks good. So now I'm gonna move on to the leaves here. And then for this next set of leaves, I don't want them to be like completely green like the others, and so I am going to experiment adding a different color to them. I kind of want them to be a little bit like grayish, so I'm gonna maybe add a little bit of purple. We'll see how that goes. And then now I need to figure out what to do with these like little guys. I'll probably make these purple just because I think that purple will look good. And for this one, I'm just gonna do like little dabs. And as you can see, I'm getting it outside of the lines, but I don't really care. I like the way it looks. All right, so once you have your actual, illustration painted, you can either leave it or you can add a background. I think I'll add a background just for the sake of fun. I'm gonna do blue. And as you can see, I'm dipping my brush into the water a lot more for this than I am for the paint. It's because I want the background to be lighter, so I'm diluting the paint more. And yeah, if I wanted the paint to be darker, then I would add some actual paint to it. you guys. Well, that is my watercolor piece. I had a lot of fun putting this together. I hope that you enjoy it too. Next week we are actually going to be doing a spring scavenger hunt. So the kit for next week won't have a bunch of stuff in it. We'll just have some scavenger hunt sheets, and there will be a prize drawing for that. So it'll be a gift card to either Target or Radar Toys, winner's choice. So yeah, more information about that to come. But in the meantime, have fun making your watercolor painting, and if you feel like sharing it, go ahead and take a picture. You can always share it to the Fern Ridge Library with Facebook, but just by sending us a direct message, or you can you know, maybe try to send it to us with Instagram if that's something you can do. So yeah, just have fun, and I hope to see you guys next week for the scavenger hunt.